All right, let's call this to order then. It is,
Okay.
what time is it?
7:03.
7:03. Great.
It's always 7:03.
They can trickle in. First on our agenda was approve April's minutes. Did everybody get a chance to read them?
Yeah.
The only thing is just one thing on our
Mhm.
farm, we're opening our farm stand this year. It was last year that we didn't. So towards the bottom,
Mm.
it says for this year we weren't opening, but this year we
Ah. I'll
Also,
make a note and do that.
okay.
just reading the part about Village Art Room and the farm mural. I have many West Concord area farms are in the mural, including Marshall Farm. I mean, do we want an exhaustive list? It's not, I mean, it's more than two. So it's Brigham, Verrill, Marshall, I should know this, Saltbox.
Barrett,
I'm sorry.
Barrett,
Us.
Barrett's Mill.
Mhm.
So maybe I'll include those names. And
Yep.
Last month I gave the 19th as a date. In this meeting, I can confirm it's the 20th. But
Okay.
strictly speaking, the minutes are accurate when they say the 19th.
Should I change it to the 20th though?
Not for the minutes,
Okay.
not for the minutes of last meeting.
Okay. For my minutes, Emily, this meeting, do I write these edits or do I write these edits somewhere else and just do them?
I think the procedure is for the minutes we're discussing now. You, after a vote to approve the minutes as amended, you correct a copy of the minutes and then submit them to the clerk. At least that was the procedure.
But these corrections, should they be written out in this time's minute?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I move we approve the minutes as corrected.
I second it.
Great.
Okay.
Minutes approved.
Yep. Great.
Awesome. All right, news from farmers. What's up, guys?
Well, last month the peas were shivering and they came out of the ground. We have 2 plantings of peas out, 2 plantings of corn up, and we've been transplanting lettuce and leeks and some of that stuff and hope it survives.
Oh, we do have everything. Lots of stuff growing in the hoop house and peas and beans like everyone else. About, I don't know, inch high now.
We don't put beans in by now because we worry that they're all gonna rot.
Yeah.
I mean, fava beans, I guess. But
We had that happen last year. They rotted, but we're just being optimistic.
well, every time the night temps are going down below 50 into the 40s, it's like we can't use the treated seed, so
Right.
we're just wasting money by throwing seeds in the ground until it warms up. But I've noticed that every year for the past, so we talk about global, climate chaos, but at least in this little corner of the universe, it seems like every May is a crappy piece of shit, 50 degrees during the day, 40 degrees at night. Every May for the past, what, 5 years? It's like you can set your clock or watch or whatever. I don't know.
Well, they always used to figure Memorial Day was the last time to worry about frost, and that's a ways off.
Mhm.
Right, but yeah, like you said, you put 2 corn in, right? So if you're really thinking about frost, why'd you put 2 corn in?
Well, if it gets nipped a little bit, a couple leaves, it doesn't hurt it.
Yeah, we put our first corn in, and we've got our tomatoes in. We've
Oh, wow.
got our first basil in.
Gonna be
Undercover.
shivering.
We haven't put tomatoes out yet.
We haven't either, but and what about carrots and beets? Have you,
Oh, yeah, they're planted.
right,
Got
Mhm.
2 plantings in.
we just seeded for them a couple days ago.
About Barrett's Mill, how you guys doing? How was the tulip sale?
Oh, it's going well. Yeah. They're selling out super fast.
So many varieties.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, that's definitely really popular. Otherwise, pretty much similar to everybody else. We have a woodchuck terrorizing our greenhouse. So we
Oh,
need to take
geez.
care of that. Yeah.
Can you find its hole?
We did find it now, so now
Problem
the war is
solved?
on.
What?
Yeah.
Problem solved?
Not yet.
Well,
One
You can talk to them.
old time solution is to take a burlap bag or a big rag, and soak it in gasoline and just shove it in the hole and cover it up.
Oh,
But you have to block up the escape hole.
right.
Don't light it.
do you never use the smoke bombs?
Yeah, I used to years ago. Sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't.
Well, the worst for me was that one year it was incredibly dry. This was when I first started, and this was Jack and Mandalia said, get these smoke bombs, and I put them in the hole and covered up both ends, but the ground was so porous because it was so dry, the smoke started coming up everywhere around me, and that night I felt really sick, and I told Jack this, and he laughed hysterically. He said, "Oh, you smoked."
Can I ask this? Would it work for woodchucks if you broke your tractor near the woodchuck hole and put a flexible tube from the exhaust of the tractor to the woodchuck hole?
That would likely
Pump in
work.
carbon monoxide, and the woodchuck would very calmly go to sleep.
I think probably.
Oh, wow, that's a great idea.
He might not ever wake up again.
Yeah, I'm thinking it'd be very peaceful.
Is anyone contracting out their services?
All you need is a tractor.
Yeah.
Well, we did that one time many, many years ago. We had rats under the concrete in the old cow barn. And we took a muffler off a lawnmower, put a hose on it and shoved it down the hole, and the rats were coming out all over the place.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, other news?
I don't know how much of this should go in the minutes.
Should we move on to our next agenda item?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Move on. Let's move forward from killing woodchucks.
Yeah.
So the next one is I've got on here is the town meeting update on Article 49, which is now Article 40. So it was going forward as a citizen petition from Mark Hansen. So they had the preview Zooms, it was the last week or the week before, I'm losing track of time, where Mark presented and Brian Cramer read our statement nicely. So that is posted on the town website. The update I have is that, so the town government's committee of the League of Women Voters of Concord invited somebody from the Ag Committee to speak about our position on May 19th at 9 a.m. on their Zoom meeting presentation. So I guess the League of Women Voters usually like takes a position on the warrant articles. And so they have invited Mark Hansen, he's going to present to them. And they were wondering if somebody from the Ag Committee could sort of present our statement and then sort of go over some of the pros and cons of it. I don't know how super formal it is, like the town committee stuff. We can find out. But would anybody be free to do that? It's May 19th at 9 a.m.
Would you like to, Brian?
No,
Very
I feel
disinterested.
like I wrote the statement. I don't even use neonics, so I don't really care all that much.
Yeah. I'll
I
give
feel
it,
like somebody who has a more skin in the game than me ought to get in there and talk to those folks, because I don't know. I mean, Mark's going to go off on a tangent. I feel like we wrote a statement, and the statement is fairly concise and says what it says. So
best to leave it at that.
No, you should go. Somebody should go.
Steve, do you want to go?
No,
Unless Emily wants to.
I'm actually a new member at the League of Women Voters, so I'm going to be attending.
So we should start like kicking up some dust over there.
That's
Oh,
cool.
I'll give it a shot.
You'll give it a shot, Steve? That's awesome. I can put you in touch with Diane Proctor, who's the woman.
Okay.
Stick to the talking points. Don't go off on a tangent.
Right.
All right. Steve, I'll put you in touch with her. That would be great. Thank you. Is there anything else we can talk about Article 40? I don't think so. All right, moving on. Emily, do you want to talk about the spring forum? It's not a spring forum anymore. It's the
No, our spring film.
film. How's our film going?
So I was a little brought up short to read the minutes where I must have said that we were hoping to have all the filming done by this meeting, or really by the end of this week, because our videographer Phil is going to be away next week. A lot of the filming is in fact done, and we were able to do some long sessions at Chamonix Farm, Verrill, Brigham, and Saltbox. And Phil has raced around and gotten images of various other farms, mostly images of their signs on the road. So I know at one point he was hoping he could wander in and engage folks in conversation, but time is running out. And so he'll be back, and there will be 2 weeks or 10 days between his return and the Wednesday or Thursday before Memorial Day, which I think is our target for posting a finished film, making it available for people to put on their websites. I must say it's been an awful lot of fun for me to trail around on these trips, especially for the longer demos. And there's so much good stuff. I don't know how the 4 hours worth of the demos plus all of the signs get, whittled, pared back down to 15 or 20 minutes, but it's going to happen. So, so we'll see. And because I haven't seen the footage and what's sort of worth keeping and how things might be cut, I don't have a script. And it may be very minimal, the script, in any event. So that's where we are. But what I would like to do, since I hope it will be done by the time the committee next meets, is to maybe give an update to committee members, to which people wouldn't reply all, but if there were questions or something like that, could reply to Liza as chair, or to me, or whatever.
That sounds great. Do we still?
And then maybe I'll just say that concurrent on May 20th, the farm mural goes up on the side of Saltbox Kitchen, and there's going to be some sort of ceremony at 1 o'clock on the 20th. You all are invited to come and admire and check it out. I think the mural has been in the works for a couple of years, and it's made up of tiles, each of which is painted individually by various community members. I even painted a tile. Mercifully, it's kind of at the bottom. Wouldn't notice it, except it's so awful, you might. So I think it'll be fun.
That's awesome. Cool. Do we need to come up with still like a list of everybody to thank or anything like that, or a list of the full list of all Concord farms?
We'll definitely have a list of the farms, but I think that we could, I mean, Phil is an advocate of thanking absolutely everybody. So for example, Steve, when we were there with you earlier this week, all your crew, I think Phil got their names. I mean, what would you say about their names appearing in the credits of this movie?
That'd be fine.
Yeah, so that, I mean, that's the idea. There were like 4 of them or 5. So, I mean, anybody, why don't I follow up with an email soliciting thank yous that people want included in the film? Thanks for remembering that, Liza.
The only reason I remember that is I started to try to write down every farm at Concord and started having questions.
Speaking of that, do we need an updated brochure now for the visitor center?
Yeah, that the current one is 2016, and there are certainly a couple of farms no longer around, like First Root and Crooked Row Fields. Yep.
Should we start working on that? Maybe we can make that an agenda item for next time.
Oh, there you go.
That can be a new project.
Kind of off topic, but Steve, did you ever get your housing
Oh yeah.
situation for the Jamaicans straightened out?
Well, we have 2 apartments rented. The last 5 guys came actually last night, and we're using 2 places at the View in Maynard, a new place next to Market Basket there. They're beautiful places, but they'd much rather be here on the farm. And we have the 2 apartments they used to be in that we're about to rent out. Okay, anybody in the country can live there except them. It's a pain. If they work 12 months instead of 6 or 7, there wouldn't be any problem, but for some reason, if they work less than a year, it's a real serious hazard to be near livestock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing, a little different subject, but along the same line, we got a notice the other day of a assessment of $95,000 on our unemployment claims in the bank because of all the people out of work. And we have had nobody unemployed for the last year. And all the people that are out with COVID and the added bonuses, that all goes in the pool. The state paid out thousands of fraudulent claims to people. That all goes in the pool. It's a mess. And they promised at the start of the COVID, when people were going out because businesses were forced to close, they said that any COVID unemployment wouldn't be assessed to the pool and the employers will be taken care of otherwise. But they changed that as time went on. It got bigger and bigger. Now they've encouraged it with the tax-free bonuses for staying on unemployment.
We haven't gotten ours yet.
God, that's an enormous hit.
Yeah. All right. Brian did get we got a fraudulent claim for Brian, actually.
Got one for your dad too.
And for my father, which was hilarious. Like, what? they're right here. Bizarre. All right. Emily, we were pretty good on the spring form update. We'll continue over email with the rest of the questions and stuff. Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. Other business. We've got Brooke and Jennifer here to talk about the Concord Museum and something they're doing. Same week as what week are we talking about? The week of Ag Week. So that would be September 11th. So that week and into that weekend, the Concord Museum is doing, and I don't have it right in front of me, but maybe one of you guys can talk about it.
I'm happy to talk to it, or Brooke, would you like to say something, or do you want me to take it away?
Oh, you're muted, Brooke.
Muted.
Almost every time. You take it away. My role here is that I'm a volunteer with the museum on their on a task force they put together to broaden their scope and reach their audience. And this idea came up, and I volunteered to connect Jennifer with this community. And so, take it away.
Well, and thank you, and thanks for letting me, crash your meeting with this idea. But I hope it's something that we may work on together. So what's driving all of this is the fact that the Concord Museum, you've noticed as you've driven down Cambridge Turnpike, first did an addition, and then we've been renovating all the interior spaces. And so by June, the museum will be completely renovated and all new, and it's very exciting. So we've been brainstorming a lot about now that we've got this gorgeous new museum, how do we bring people in? How do we convene? How do we connect? How do we, make the most of it? So we came up with this idea for what we're calling Old Home Week. I guess there's many communities in New England that celebrate that as kind of an in-gathering and a welcoming back to the community of people who've moved away, or and so we set this up from September 4th through September 12th. And the idea is to just have events throughout the week that appeal to different people in the wider community. So, some of it, we're having some dedicating some spaces, and we have some people, we're having like a reception for Newbury Court. I mean, just different kinds of things. And on the Saturday, which is, your big Ag Day, we would actually had thought about inviting people from the wider community. And then on Sunday, we were going to have a free to Concord residents. Concord residents can come free to the museum. and we'll have, you know, an encampment, and we'll have all kinds of, you know, petting zoo, all kinds of crazy things. But one of the things that particularly struck us as we were thinking about this in the context of Concord's history. Oh, and I forgot to say, Sunday, of course, is Concord's birthday, the anniversary of its incorporation. So, you know, as we were thinking about what might be intriguing in this week, naturally, the connections with the agricultural community came to mind, because the more that we learn about Concord's history, the more clear it is that agriculture is just the backbone of Concord, and was certainly characterized its founding. So as we're trying to make these linkages between Concord's history, Concord's origins, what we see now, and how that informs the future, we thought that perhaps some event on one of the weeknights, not to interfere with the weekend plans, might be kind of a fun thing. So, you know, my initial idea, not set in stone, just a thought, is it might be really interesting for our wider audience of museum goers and museum members to experience, for example, a panel. And I was thinking we could have David Wood, who is our curator, talk about for a little bit about Concord's deep roots in agriculture. And then perhaps we could have a representative of one of the farms with very deep roots, who's been here a long time, who can talk about changes through that period, perhaps a new farmer trying new things, perhaps an end user, someone who has a restaurant or otherwise, you know, is doing something to connect people with the food that's produced. And, you know, the thought would just be to invite, you know, we get, for our virtual forums, we get, you know, 100 people to come and listen to a speaker. In person, it's more like, you know, 40. But we thought, wouldn't it be interesting really to try to educate people about all the cool stuff that's going on in Concord today, right now, in agriculture, and connect it to the fact that this is really in the DNA of this town. And so I think I'll stop talking. You know, Brooke, we've had more conversations. Is there something that you think I missed, or something I should talk about?
No, that was terrific. And did you mention the food piece?
Oh, I didn't. I mean, you know, people love food, right? So if possible, we'd love to have some sort of food component. I don't know if it's from one of the restaurants or from, you know, I don't know exactly, but, you know, people, if they were mingling and in conversation after the panel and they were talking about what they just learned, it would be great to have some kind of food available. And, you know, we of course would cover that, but it's just part of the concept of a festive evening. So I don't know, questions, reactions, have at it.
Well, it sounds like a good project, and one of the things I don't think people in town realize is that you'd have to go quite a ways west to find a town that has more farming than Concord does. Really in the greater Boston area, I think we're way ahead of everybody else.
That's true. And that, I mean, I'm new to this, to the museum, and I've spent time in Concord, but I'm learning so much. That was something that was really startling to me, is exactly how large and how successful the farming community is here.
One of the basic things is we have good land.
Most of us.
Some of us, yeah.
I mean, I think it's a really, I think doing something with you guys would be really cool. I know it's a rough time of year for everybody, but you know, it's also, it sort of conveniently is right before, hopefully, what will be Ag Day. So it's also like a nice tie-in.
Well, it'd be a good chance to promote Ag Day too, because, they're not necessarily the same audiences, and it would be, and of course, if there was any, I don't know if there's tables with different materials. I mean, any way that we could be helpful to promote what different farms are doing, and, that would be part of it too.
That'd be cool.
Sounds
So
like
this-
a really neat idea.
Okay.
What's up, Emily?
This is an in-person event, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
That, we're rolling the dice at the moment in planning all of these things, but we're really hopeful that we can have this in person. I mean, especially the Concord Visiting Day, I mean, right now we're on time tickets, 10 people every half an hour. It just feels like it's such a limiting, unwelcoming kind of way to experience the museum. And we're just longing and hoping, fingers crossed, that we'll be in a position where people can just come and enjoy it.
I think it's not unreasonable to hope that.
I mean, we're hoping for Ag Day to go forward, so.
Yes.
And we got to plan it now, that's the thing.
That's the plan, at least. It's
Yeah.
subject to change, but no, I think we could maybe talk more separately, but I think I certainly like the idea of it. It sounds like everybody else thinks it's a good idea. I think it is a rough week just in terms of time commitment. But if you guys are doing the vast majority of the planning, then that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, we would, because it would be at our place. We would be handling all the marketing and, responses and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think it would be terribly heavy
Yeah.
lifting from your guys' standpoint, but without you guys, it wouldn't be an event. So
So it means some of us are going to have to talk, is what you're saying.
we might have to have somebody talk.
Steve.
I vote for Steve.
I think it's something we should follow through on. I don't know what the best procedure is.
Well, I'd like to talk to David Wood and really go more in depth with him about what our piece of it could be. And then who should I be in touch with about the other pieces, or?
You can probably talk to me, I guess. And then
Okay.
I can coordinate from there, I guess. I think the main thing is trying to figure out who is willing to talk,
Right.
aside from Steve.
And if there's an interest, again, I don't know if there's signage or whatever, but if there's any interest in promoting stuff, then we could work on that in advance, and then we would.
Do you mean like the way some events have like exhibitor halls, but on a smaller scale, like people could have materials for CSA shares or winter shares or?
Yeah, I was thinking, the hallway that goes off the Lyceum, Brooke, in the new Ed building, you could put a series of tables there, and you could have brochures, or you could have, signups, or you could have, any kind of marketing materials or descriptive materials that you wanted, could be made available. And I don't want to get into a whole big, science fair thing, but it's just an opportunity to, while people have this on their mind and they're excited about it, it's a great opportunity for them to take the next step.
One thing that came up at one of these meetings was the idea that the Concord Museum might have some interesting antique farming tools. So maybe it could have some display of some of those as part of it.
Yeah, and that's why I need to talk to David Wood. I know that one of the newly installed rooms in the museum, which is happening now, so I haven't seen it, but it's going to be all about getting a living, it's called. And so part of it is in there. And then there's another separate room that has to do with specifically with farming. So I'm sure, there'll be something that we can we can extract from that.
I think the museum a couple of, or maybe longer ago, had an exhibition which I thought was terrific of farming tools and just the range and variety and the specificity, you know, why have one tool when 10 variations will actually make your work go more smoothly.
Right.
Just demonstrated with these physical objects. So I remember being so intrigued by that.
Good. Well, hopefully, and I wish I could speak more about what exactly is going to be in the exhibit, but you know, that's another component we could offer is after you've heard the panel, come to the permanent exhibit, you know, in addition to maybe we have some artifacts we can talk about, you know, in real time in the panel, but then go upstairs and see the real thing. So anyway, I think there's lots of possibilities, but before I got too far into the weeds, I wanted to kind of just see how people were feeling. So sounds like we should keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great. Well, I'll probably bow out then and leave you to continue your meeting. But, you know, thanks again for hearing me out. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to moving forward with this.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Jenna.
Yeah, good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
You too. Thanks. Cool.
I don't want to leave. I want to hear more, you know, I want to hear more about gassing woodchucks.
Me too.
Well, do we have any other business to discuss, guys?
Well, none other than I think Brian should definitely be part of that panel.
What? Which panel?
The one at the Concord Museum.
Well, the one thing I think is that we should, I'm just afraid they're going to focus on colonial agriculture.
Yeah.
And I think they need to focus on, like, you know, more recent stuff, which is, you know, being forgotten, because Concord has a very recent agricultural, you know, history with the arenas and Monies and, you know, Barrett's Mill. And
Hey, maybe you could show the old and then what's replaced it.
Well, that's good.
and the transition.
Yeah,
They do have a great multimedia. I mean, that is actually their intention. And one of the things that this committee is trying to do in other events, and this one too, is kind of find that bleeding edge that where is the museum comfortable going, and what is the world doing? So that's very much the intention of this one, is to find out from this community and through this event what are the historic traditions that root today's agriculture and makes that bridge to what's happening next. So the questions really are, how does something like this serve the Ag Committee in terms of your goals in the immediate future, which could be promoting the Ag Day, but also like broader and helping those narratives get out into the community. That's really, you're absolutely right, Brian.
I think
I was going to say there's multimedia. So Emily, when you were talking about the film and all the extra footage, it's really about visuals too. As colonial agriculture has passed, so has much of our attention spans. So and I can Jennifer or someone from their media department can maybe connect with you to find out about rolling the film or other ways that the materials can be used.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We are planning to do a second film as well this summer, so.
Right.
Cool. Yeah, that could kind of be nice together too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, the time frame for that I think was right before Labor Day.
Yeah, it was kind of lining up.
Sorry.
No, I was saying it's kind of lining up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it actually happens, then.
I know.
It could line up. It could miss it, but it could line. It'd be nice.
It would be good.
It would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, do we have any public comment?
It's really nice. My public comment is it's really nice to see all of you.
Good to see you, Brooke.
Lovely to see you too, Brooke.
I hope am I the only like public person? Are you all part of the committee?
I'm not.
I'm a member of the public.
Oh, okay.
Brian's a member of the public right now too.
Yeah, you're in good company.
Chip too.
As always, as always.
Yeah, do we want to talk about next meeting? June 10th? What does that look like for everybody?
Okay,
I'd offer our tent for the meeting if you want to try an in-person thing spaced out 20 feet.
What?
Bring your vaccine card.
Are we allowed to do that right now? Like if I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
I
You
think
can have
you do,
public
you do a
meetings.
Zoom meeting in the tent.
Yeah, I think you'd have to also have it, wouldn't you have to have it that anyone could come? on
Yeah,
Zoom?
because you have to have it recorded right now. That's a good question. That would be fun.
Yeah.
All right, what do we think of June 10th?
that was great.
Sounds great. 7 again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I once again want to commend you, Eliza, for a fast, speedy meeting.
This is record breaking.
44
My
minutes.
life.
Apparently, I don't think I'm letting you guys talk enough. That's the problem.
Perfect.
There were days when they were 2 hours.
Oh, like
I've been on them with 2 hours.
years when they were 2 hours every
Yes,
time.
days, years. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I do think Zoom helped. It's not as easy to chat over Zoom than it is, you know. All right. Who wants to? How do we do this again?
Gavel out.
At the honors.
Somebody has to motion to end the meeting.
Don't move.
Thanks, Steve.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dan. Motion, meeting adjourned. I'll see you all on June 10th. Bye. Thank you for joining us, Brooke.
Bye.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
Good night. Bye-bye.